Can teenagers make money? Should they make money? Are they supposed to make money? These are the questions we're going to be finding the answers in today's conversation. And that's how I welcome you to another episode of P&T Show. On this show, we celebrate parenting and we inspire teenagers. Welcome again. And have you subscribed? Have you told someone about P&T Show? If you've not, you have the opportunity to do that before we dive deep into today's conversation. And I have someone that I love so much, my baby girl, in the building. She is an alumni student of School of Teen Mentors and Coaches. Yeah, you want to Google that. So she's here today. She's the CEO of Glitters Food and Confessions, and she is here today to bring on board, her expertise as a business owner and as someone that is passionate about mentoring teenagers in the area of finance. Welcome to today's episode of
Thank you so much, Ma. I'm so glad to be here.
So good. I wouldn't have known we'll have you this early on P&T Show, and it's such a delight to have you in the studio today.
It's an honor to be here, Ma. Thank you.
All right, so let's even start from talking about, your passion for teenagers. You've had to do a certification program just to be able to work better with teenagers. What's inspired you to help teenagers?
Okay, personally, I had quite some experiences as a young person that actually made me to have and grow this passion for young people. And I basically had some issues and challenges when it had to do with money and finances as a young person. Okay. That also led me into going into doing business and making money from a very tender age as a teenager. So because of those challenges and how God helped me to go through them, and I still, was able to maintain my values, my core values and all my beliefs without compromising. And I'm here where I am today. So that experience alone is also part of what has moved me and, giving me the passion to also try to reach out to other young people, because I know definitely a lot of teenagers and young people will be having that same exact challenge. And that's why I'm here to help them.
Beautiful.
Go through it.
What's that challenge? I want to hear. I want to hear that challenge. What exactly was that thing that happened as a teenager?
Right. Okay, so as a young person, most times our parents, they try their best to provide for us all our basic needs to the best of their ability. A lot of young persons come from families where they are well-to-do and they're able to afford every single thing they need and even more. Yeah. There are another set of people that their parents are just able to provide the basics. Yes. And they have to find a way to, help themselves. And there are some that is not anywhere. They just have to start on time to start, taking care of themselves and hustling. So I think I fell into the second group. My parents were able to do the best they could. They pay your school fees, they give you food, and the little things they can do for you. And I was in boarding school and all of that. But most times, those little things and the ones they could do might not be completely enough. Yeah. Okay, and, instead of going into a bad lifestyle, maybe looking for where to sleep around, how to get money, stealing and the rest, I just thought to myself, since my mom has a shop and I like staying in her shop, staying with her and all of that. So from there, I started taking some money from her shop bit by bit. Bit by bit. And to me, I think I gave my life to Christ as a teenager as well. So at some point, I started having this guilty conscience. I wasn't feeling comfortable anymore because I know it's stealing. Now, the truth is that teenagers, you must know that any money you take that is not your own is stealing.
It's not tapping, it's stealing.
Yeah, that is what it is. You don't need to give it a fine name. And it doesn't matter whether it's your parents' money. Some people, they will say, it's my mom's money. It's my dad's money. What belongs to my parents belongs to me. No, please, it doesn't belong to you. As long as you were not permitted to take it. So at some point, my conscience couldn't bear it anymore, and I really needed to stop. But what do you do as a young girl? Maybe you've left secondary school and then you see some things you want to buy and just minor expenses and there is no money. And when you try to ask for money, since you know that the money is not there, they might tell you, don't worry, later, or you can do without it. And as a young person, you actually need this thing. And you now have access to money to actually settle it. So it's not like I was taking so much money then.
You were taking enough for your house.
I was, yeah. Yeah. So, but I had to speak to some persons because my conscience wouldn't let me, and I didn't know how to tell my mom. So I spoke to a mentor then, and I told him, sir, this is what I was going through. I also spoke to a very close friend of mine, and they were like, oh, wow. So that is right to even see someone that is doing this kind of thing and you're feeling bad about it, that if that's the case, I really need to talk to my mom. So now the problem is how
do I
tell
without receiving a
backlash? Because my mom trusts me and a lot of things. So I didn't even know how to break the news because I can run the shop for weeks. My mom can travel and all of that. And now if I tell her, how will she believe that I'm not taking much, and all of that?
And even trust you in the future.
Yeah. So, but what I did was, one of the days she was traveling, she was going for a program. I wrote a letter, a very long note, full scarf sheet, full. I poured out my heart. I told her I don't want to go to hell. I want to make heaven. I want to stop stealing. I know I'm not taking much, but I tried to pour out my heart and also to make her understand reasons why I was taking the money, because I don't want to go out. And funny enough, then I had people that were coming around, guys, how are you? And all those stuff. And I don't really want to fall into that temptation or be in a situation where I might have to compromise the decisions I've already made for my life. So I felt, it's safer to even take from home. So, but at a point, I started feeling that when you start taking from home gradually, before you know it, you start taking from outsiders. And it becomes a habit and a very bad one at that. So I'm just this type that doesn't like anything that will make me lose my peace. Let me just put it that way. So I wrote the letter, I gave to her. And I told her not to read it until she gets to where she's going to. And I waited till when the boss was about to move before giving her. So they were about to drive, and I said, driver, wait. I ran. And through the window, I gave her. So, throughout the 3 days that she wasn't around, I was restless. I was thinking, who knows, has she read it? What was she thinking? But good thing, she came back, she called me and she said, she read my letter and all. She spoke to me, talked to me, and actually prayed for me.
Wow, so lovely.
Yeah. After praying for me, another thing she did was that she now placed me on a weekly stipend. Okay. Not that much, but at least she just told me, you can still stay in the shop, you can still manage the shop, because I know the kind of person you are. So whatever would have made you to take money is, So she started giving me every Friday, I'll take some money. So, when I started getting that money, I started thinking to myself, what do I do? Because I don't want tomorrow, if this money is no longer coming, or if something happens, I'll start looking for somewhere else to get money. So I started saving up part of the money that she was giving me. And then being that I was in the shop already, I started looking for things I can also sell there as my own business, that when I give her own money, I take mine. So no, it didn't start today, So I started going, first of all, to buy oranges early in the morning. And I have a very small stature. So as of that time, I was very small. Not even as big as my age. So you see me fighting with market women to buy orange. They will push me here, but it wasn't an issue for me, because I have to wake up early, and in the evenings, I'll just stay in front of the shop and be peeling the orange. As people are buying provisions, they're also buying orange. So, but being that orange is a seasonal business, so when orange was out of season, by God's grace, I was able to have raised a little bit more money at that time. And I started frying granules, these roasted granules. I'll still package and sell in shops. I just really needed to be doing something that I could say, this money is my own. If I have a need, I'll use it. From there, I went into making cake, meat pie, and chin-chin then. Because I did food and nutrition in secondary school.
So how old were you at the time you started selling the orange?
Okay, I was around, I left secondary school at 16, so I was between 17, 18.
Wow.
As at that time. So because I couldn't do business as a secondary school person, because I was living in the boarding school. Yes. So all these things started when I left secondary school and came to stay with my mom. So from there, I started making cakes and the rest of them. Even, I think 2015 election, I actually hawked my snacks. at the polling unit. Yeah. I had to do that because I really needed to be making money. So that was how I started the business. And from there, it has been from one business to the other. When I got admission, I went into school. I couldn't do the snacks because I actually want to focus on my education. So I needed to look for another business that would not be so time consuming. So I started buying products from my mom because she goes out of Nigeria to buy cosmetics and some things. So I'll carry from her, go to school, add my own profit. In the evenings, I'll go around the hostels, all the lodges around my area, sell to them because it's foreign. And with a lot of marketing and preaching and the rest of them, you know, they started buying and all of that, to a point that I stopped going around because they now knew me. If they need, they now come to my room in the evening and buy. So that was the business I did till I left Nekede. That was my first degree in Nekede. So after I graduated from Nekede and went to ABSU, I also, you know, needed to start another business. So why I'm saying this is to show that I've never had to stay one place. When one is not working, I always think out another means because there will always be need, especially in the university. You know, impromptu tests, impromptu assignments, print this, print that, and the rest. So when I came to ABSU, I did the same thing. I had to pray because I always pray and ask God to give me direction, like what exactly can I just start doing? And before you know it, something comes up. So when I was in ABSU, I was thinking, what can I start doing? I'm living in the hostel. I can't bake here. ABSU is more demanding than my former school. What can I do that will not actually affect my academics because I don't want anything to distract me? So one of the days, I know how to make hair. I make hair very, very well. So one of the days, my roommate asked that she wanted to make a particular hairstyle. I told her to show me. She showed me. I've not made it before, but I know I have my YouTube, of course. So I told her, oh, no problem. I can make the hair, see what to buy, see what to buy. And she bought it. I took my time. I went on YouTube, watched videos about the hairstyle. And lo and behold, I made the hair. And that was how I started business. Normally, I make hair for people free of charge for many years. I don't collect money. But that was my first time of earning 1,000 from a hair. And I was like, oh, so I can actually make money from hair making. And that was how hair business started in ABSU. That was the business I did up to my final year. I did it so much that I had a hair salon, a very good hair salon equipped and the rest, until in my final year, I also bumped into another business through the direction of God, which is the current business I am still doing up till date. Wow. So
it's been a long time coming between you and the world of business. And I think one thing I love about you is the way you carry your business on your head. You guys, if you know her and you know you've encountered her business page, which she's going to give us, by the way, at the end of this podcast, you would know that she is someone that is super passionate about her business. And it goes a long way to show also that this thing you are doing is something that comes from your heart. You're not just trying to impress anybody. You're doing what you love doing, and that's business, and that's, you know, creating value. Yes. All right. So now let's talk about this. So I love it that you started as a teenager, and you were willing to turn over money and grow your business from one to the other. Talking about teenagers today, we have a lot of teenagers who do not have patience to multiply 1 naira into 1 naira 50 kobo. And then from 1 naira 50 kobo to 1 naira 80 kobo, then to 2 naira. So they want to use 1 naira and make 1 million naira the next day. So there is not that delayed gratification. So let's talk about that. And that's, of course, why businesses like betting and the rest is on the increase. What do you have to say?
Okay, about that. What I have to say is that, first of all, young people have the wrong mindset about money because everything we do is dependent on the state of your mind. What you know and what you believe will determine what you do with money. You know, I held a class recently and I was teaching my teenagers and I told them that money is amoral. It's neither moral or immoral. Money is neither good nor bad. It's just the truest revealer of one's personality. So the mindset you have about money will determine what you can do to get it and what you can do with it when you get it. So teenagers and young people need to get the right mindset, and to make it worse, the society today has painted a very wrong image about money that mounts pressure on young people, that makes them, they just want to make it fast, they just want to make it quickly, they want to prove a point, which is wrong. So that's why young people really need to know what money is and the reason you should even make money, because some people feel making money is just to buy cars, buy iPhone, buy flashy clothes, and the rest. But that's not, what it should be. So they must first of all work on their mindset and know that money is just a basic necessity so that they need. So it's necessary that they change that mindset and, also start listening and hearing the right perspective of money, because what they know will determine what they can do about it. If they know that they shouldn't kill themselves about money to impress and the rest of them, it will also help them to be more patient, to make this money legitly so that they can actually enjoy it. Because in the process of looking for it fast, it goes a long way to destroy their lives, and they don't know until it's already too late.
Wow. Okay, so what are some of the money mindsets or money habits that teenagers need to cultivate?
Okay, so first of all, they need to learn how to make the money and multiply it, because some persons, especially young people, once they get money, what's on their mind is, what do I buy? What do I do with this money? And you see some young persons that if you give them 1,000 now, this morning, before you come back in the evening, where is the money? It's all gone. Every 2 seconds, they are buying things, they are eating, and before you know it, the money finish, and they're already hoping that, oh, another one will come. No. So the first thing, the habit they should cultivate is the habit of saving. Yeah, they must know that, my pastor will always say that, and in everything that you have, there is a seed and there is a bread. So every money that comes to your hand, there is one to spend and there is one to keep. So that the one you kept back can multiply and yield more. So you should learn how to save and, keep your money in proportions. What are the things that you need money for? And the truth is that if you don't start it on time, you can't continue with it as an adult. You need to start learning it from small. Okay, if I get 1,000, how many percent is for my savings? How many percent is for spending? How many percent is for investment? Even if it's little, and you're not investing now, but just know that, okay, every money that comes to my hand, I'm removing 10% for savings, 10% or 20% for investment, the other one for personal development, maybe to buy a book, to read, and the rest of them. So they must learn how to develop the habit of saving and putting their money in proportions and not just spending everything at the same time, because it's going to go a long way to help me, because that's what actually helped me in my business. Because of the little more, how much was it then? As far as 2015, 2014, it was 500 that my mom was giving me, but things were not as expensive as it is now. So with 500, at least you can save a reasonable amount. So because I knew that I can't spend all this at 500, the day will come, maybe the 500 will not come again, or something can happen. So I now had to now start removing it. I was still buying the things I needed, but I now started, having priority. Is this one really necessary? Do I really need it now?
Of course, when it's your money, you will now spend everything.
So these are the habits that they can learn.
So money making, saving, investments.
And then also multiplying the money, putting it into something that can also yield more from it. For example, you can start selling something as little as maybe 500 and you get a profit of 100 naira. You don't just jump into spending your profits. Even this, my business that I'm doing now, I gave myself a target of the number of years that I'm not entitled to my profits. If I'm just able to remove the normal necessary money I'm supposed to spend, every other thing gotten from the business goes back into the business until I hit a particular target that I'm looking for. Then I can be comfortable to now pull money to do other things. So when they start making the money eventually, they must learn how to multiply it and not say, oh, the business will always keep generating. No, you have to keep putting back and putting back until you get to, where you're going to. So every money you have is not just to spend and buy things. There are needs and there are wants. So you must learn how to take care of your basic needs and then forget about your wants for the moment, because it's not everything that you need. Just go with what you want. A time will come that you can afford all those things. So that's what they really need to learn now.
Powerful. Thank you so much for breaking it down the way you did. Things financial mentor. So she helps teenagers make financial decision, learn financial education on time. So now that will bring me to the next question, which is, why do you think teenagers need to learn financial literacy on time?
Okay, now teenagers need to learn financial literacy on time because it's going to help them when they become adults. You see some adults and grown-up making financial mistakes because nobody taught them on time, and they end up learning from experience. And by the time they learn from experience, they are way past the age of making the money. Okay, so because they don't know things about finance on time, it makes them to relax. Some of them will say, oh, I don't have any business making money now when I grow. In the future, in the future. And the future you forget is now, because whatever you do today is already your future. So you don't even need to wait for a future that is coming. If you want to know your future, where you're going to financially, you look at yourself now. What am I doing? What are the decisions I'm taking right now? Because that's what is going to make you who you are going to be tomorrow. So if a teenager doesn't know how to manage money, how to make money, have the right mindset about money now, it's going to translate into the person's adulthood. And you see the person making a lot of mistakes that you end up learning from experience. So it's very important that teenagers start learning about money now, because definitely they are going to become adults, so that they don't go, grow up and become adults and start telling us that they did not explain this adulthood very well to them. If you did not tell me this one, adulthood is scam. No, it's not scam. It's because you didn't know what to do and how to prepare for it. So it's very important that they learn about money and finance now, because life can throw a hard one on anyone at any point in time. There are people that lost their parents and they had to become parents to their siblings at a very tender age. There are people that things happen to. So it's better you're prepared for all these things, have all the knowledge, and then as you're going and growing, it makes things easier for you. So it's very important that they have the knowledge of finance and financial literacy at a very young and tender age. So parents should consciously, make sure that their children have this knowledge, because there are some young people, they will say, I don't need to think about money. I always have my parents to take care of me. And by the time they train you and you come out from university, you know that you don't always have them. And responsibility comes and you're at home, say, Mommy, thank you, Daddy, thank you. Very soon it becomes an issue and they'll start comparing you. Have you not seen that person? Have you not, So you need to start on time so that it gives you a soft landing into adulthood, so that you can also start taking responsibility on time. It's very important.
So speaking about that, how exactly can teenagers learn this financial literacy? Are there like places they can go to or things they can do to start learning?
Yeah, there are places you can go to. There are coaches, financial coaches, just like myself. There are skills and other things that they can also learn, and books they can read that can help open up their minds and expose them to knowledge on how to do and manage money, how to make it, and everything they need to know. So there is always a wide vast knowledge everywhere. It depends on you. You need to find it. You need to, key in, give yourself that discipline to learn. And okay, so there are also YouTube channels. I always tell people that YouTube is a global university. There is nothing you want to learn on YouTube that you cannot learn. So there are a lot of knowledge that you can get from, financial mentors and coaches and channels that talk about financial literacy. But please make sure you avoid every form or every channel that teaches you on, fraud or financial scams and the rest of them, quick money schemes and all of that. You try to avoid them. Just go for the real ones, because if you see it, you will know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are some of the money myth that teenagers have?
Okay, one of the money myths, some of the money myths that teenagers have, number one, they feel that money is equal to popularity. Some of them feel, I really need to make this money to get up to a particular standard, to get up to a particular stage, so that, people can value me. I can, give this particular kind of perspective to people. That's actually what leads some people to fake life, because when you come online, you come on social media, you see young people, teenagers, flaunting cars, buying, houses, doing a lot of things. And some young people, when you talk to them about making money legit, they'll tell you, that they really need to make this money. They need to prove a point. Yeah. So that's a myth. Money is not equal to popularity, because there are a lot of people that have tried to make this money, go through quick, quick money making schemes, and the end is always very disastrous for them. Maybe they can just shine for a few period and the rest, and they are gone. You also see when we were children, there are people we used to hear about, big men that actually did some things just to make this money, and today they are nowhere to be found. And you also see those that actually worked for the money, did it the legal way until tomorrow. Even some of them that we don't know, we are still hearing their names. So money is not equal to popularity. Whatever you're doing, you must do it properly. Then another one is that some teenagers, young people recently, they like saying school is scam. Let's go and make this money. No need. Let's leave school. Let's leave this. You must know that because you want to make money doesn't mean that you can't go to school. You can't acquire education. You can do that. There are studentpreneurs. They are going to school and they are doing their business.
I
and
like
they are,
that. Never
yeah.
heard of that.
Yes, and I was a studentpreneur because, let's say, basically from my first degree in university up until now, I've been doing business, and I came out with a very good grade in school. My results were good and the rest of them. So school is not scam. You need the education, you need the exposure. It's just left for you to know how to strike the balance between academics and chasing money, because this money can be controlling. There's a level that you start chasing it and you say, let me leave school first and focus here. So you must learn how to put a balance between your academics. Schooling is just for a few years and you're done, and then so you really need to know that school is not scam, and you can actually be going to school and be making money legitly. Another one is some of them feel that they always have their parents or people to take care of them. And that mindset, I've seen it ruin adults a lot. I have close people around me that you date, they depend on people for everything.
Yeah.
They don't want to make money. They don't want to achieve anything.
Some of them even have a sprinkle of entitlement.
Entitlement on it.
it.
Yeah. So they feel, because you're my sister,
Yes.
you have to. Because you're my relative, because of this. Not like they've done anything for you, not like they've added any value to your life, but they feel because they know you and you have money, so you're entitled to do something.
Your money is my money.
See some people, they are saying, I have my uncle, I have my mom, I have my dad, and you forget that these people work hard to make this money. And they have things that they're doing with their money. They have responsibility. So you don't always have people around you. And when those people are not helping you, they become stingy. They become this. You start tagging them wicked. But what they are doing to make the money, are you paralyzed or are you incapacitated that you can't do the same to make the money? So you don't always have people around you. Nobody is obligated to you for any reason. If someone does you a financial favor, it's just like the person wants to. Yeah, so please, you must understand that you don't always have people to take care of you, because at a point they will get tired of carrying your load. So, and when you have that mindset and you keep doing it till your adulthood, is very bad. So you must condition your mind and know that nobody is obligated to help you financially. Your parents can do the best they can, for the age that you are in, but you need to start taking financial responsibility on time, because it's going to help you. And now look at the way the economy is going. Everyone is trying to manage, and then you want to become an extra burden to them. So it's not really nice. So these are some money myths that teenagers have, which are mindsets that are wrong. Some of them also think that they are too small. They don't have anything to do with business. Let me leave it when I grow, when I become an adult. When there is no when is now, because you have to start doing it now. So you're not too small to start a business. There are examples of teenagers that own establishment businesses that are doing well. Doing well both in Nigeria and abroad. So you're not too small, you're not young. And funny enough, if you look at most of the great people that are doing exploit in business, you find out that they actually started it as young people. They actually started it early, most of them. So now is even the best time to start, because you don't have a lot to worry about. You don't have much responsibilities. Yeah, now and learn. So that's it. And finally, I'll say this: some of them feel that they want to go to school first, graduate and get a job, then they can start making money. That system is no longer functional. Yeah, because that's what some people think. Let me go to school. I want to study this, I want to study that. When I come out, I get a white-collar job where they'll be paying me this. I'm targeting and working in Shell. I'm targeting and working in this. But Nigeria is producing graduates per second. And all of them, no one is getting jobs. You see someone that studied engineering and the person is doing POS business. You see, you see someone that studied, medicine and, and all of that. So I'm not saying that it's bad to study these courses. I'm not saying it's bad to acquire the education, but you have to start on time to start looking for other means and sources of income that can support your dream. You can actually be doing business and still graduate and get a banking job, and you still, if you're a career person, you still function in whatever you want to do. But don't just rely on, let me go to school, graduate, and then I'll get a job. What if you graduate and you have to stay 5 years without a job? How do you survive? How do you cope? So it's good to have the dream of studying a particular course, working in that field, being a career person, but you must have other sources and means of income to support it. So don't just rely on when you go to school and come out and get a job. Get something doing by the side, even as you pursue that dream. So it's very important.
Thank you so much for, spotlighting these myths that teenagers have about money. And I want to believe that if you're a teenager watching this, that probably you have one of these myths already, that you're struggling with, or that you are already currently living your life by. This is a wake-up call for you to ditch those myths, because it will not help you. And like our financial mentor has said, you can't continue to think like that and be able to come out tomorrow to be somebody great, to own your own business and do well in it. So you must start now. And I think this conversation goes to say that wealth creation comes from problem solving, right? So let's talk about that. It's because sometimes we think, oh, making money is about, just you doing business. So let's get to the root of that business, which is solving problem, looking for problem to solve. That's actually how it starts, because you are providing a service. For instance, the hair making that you stumbled upon. You were doing it before, and it was just a means of, rendering service, but eventually started making you money. So let's talk about serving as a way of developing your business capacity.
Okay, so the truth is that people pay for the things that they cannot be able to do for themselves.
Absolutely.
So that is what business is, actually bringing solution to people's problem and earning from it. So as a young person, if you want to start a business, you don't just wake up and jump into anything you see. You must have to look around, look within, and see a problem that you need to bring a solution to, because that is where your money is waiting for you. So it's very important for you to know that you're not just doing to do buying and selling to make money. You must do it with a purpose, knowing that, oh, this is a solution I want to bring. This is the problem I've seen, within this area, and how can I, bring solution? How can I bring other things that can ease off this thing for people in that area? For example, you're living in an area where transportation is an issue and all of that. So what you now start thinking is that, okay, what can I do to ease this problem of transportation for these people? You start thinking, brainstorming, and you now start becoming creative to find ways to make that thing easier for those people. And you find out that when you come up with that thing, you're actually solving a problem, you're actually giving value, and these people are so happy to pay you for that value. So if you're going to do a business, it must be something that is solving a very, specific problem for people, because that's what will move them to actually pay you for it. Because if it's a business or something that people can actually do for themselves, then they don't need you. So you must sit down and become creative to think, look around the environment, because a business that can work here might not work here. A business that can thrive here might not thrive here, because maybe that's not the issue in that particular place. So you must first of all look at your environment, do a study, find out the issues and the problems that people have within your locality, and then you now start thinking out creative ways to solve those problems. And before you know it, you've started a business for yourself, and people will always pay you for it. So
This is like a go-to guide, a go-to guide of how to start a business.
Yeah.
I mean, it was Sunda Deleja that said, where there is problem, there is money.
Yes.
So if you come into a location, ask yourself, what's the problem in this place?
this place.
What is the predominant challenge they are facing? And how can I begin to provide solution to that? And voila, you have a business.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so before we call it a day for today, some parents have an issue with exposing teenagers to money early, or allowing them to do some business, to do whatever that you can pay them for, because they believe that it will distract them They might start making money and then say, oh, I'm not going to school again. I've already arrived. I'm already making
Yeah, I'm
money.
already
So what do
making
you have
money.
to say to that, both to
Okay.
parents and to the teenagers?
Okay, so firstly to the parents, that's why at the beginning I talked about having the right mindset. So the truth is that money is going to, even as an adult, there are some certain things that you see, and because you want to make money, you just lose yourself in the process because you're pursuing to get more, to get more, to get more. The truth is that money, they have to understand, is just a basic necessity of life. It's just a basic means of exchange. When they have that understanding, and as in, the parents now have to also help them gain financial literacy from people that are more experienced than them, get them a coach that can monitor what they are doing and also keep them accountable. It's going to go a long way to help the teenager. So their parents can give them that leverage, but there should be a level of control and guidance around it. You don't just allow the person to go haywire. So they should also help them to gain balance, make them understand that this is not your full-time hustle now. This is not what you should be focusing on. It's just something that you need to do on the side. And they should gain balance between their academics, every other area of their life, and also making the money at that young age. So it's something that parents also need to be actively involved in. Like I see a lot of parents that are also coaching their children, that from an early age, to take their children along in what they are doing in making money. They are coaching their children. There is this man I love so much that I watch, Chidomerin Dubisi, the owner of Palm Tech. Okay, I love the way he carries his son along. I watched a particular video where they were having a morning jog, and him and his son, they were talking about business and books. Have you read this book? What did you read? And the son was actually now teaching him. He was like, oh, I didn't know this. Oh, I didn't know this. And when he's coming to work, his son is coming for the meetings and everything. So he's exposing that child to financial literacy and all, but at the same time coaching him to understand that, oh, you actually need to focus on your academics. You need this, you need that. So you don't just let them go like that. You also expose them to it and also guide them. If it's something you can't do, you can find a financial coach or someone that can always guide them, that they're accountable to, that will also help them strike that balance. Then for the teenagers as well, just as I said, the right mindset matters. What you have in your head matters. So money is neither good nor bad, but it reveals your true personality. Someone that is going to misbehave with money will misbehave with money, not because the money he got is bad, but because of who you are already. So if you're going to do good with money, the same thing. So you must understand as a young person that money is not something that you should go into vices and bad life for. It's not. Okay, you should learn how to develop yourself, give value, solve problems for people, and then make money from it. So you're not just going into it to start showing off to your friends, owning the latest this and that. Just go into make money making, financial literacy, with the mindset that you're doing it to add value to yourself, solve problems for people, become a better person, and also make the world a better place.
Powerful, powerful. Wow, it's been a masterclass with you. Thank you so much for sharing so much value. So before I let you go, what's one financial advice, from your office as the financial teens mentor, what's one financial advice that you have for teenagers?
Focus more on personal development. Don't just be about making the money, because it is that the wealth is in you. You're the one that actually makes the money come. So as you're investing into yourself, developing yourself, gaining knowledge, becoming a better person, even if something happens tomorrow, okay, there's something my pastor always says. He says that if you take away everything that he has, put him in an island, just give him his Bible and a few other things, that if you come back there in the next 2 years, you will not recognize it, because the money is in him, the prosperity is in him, everything is in him. So if you understand that everything that you can achieve, the success you want, is inside of you, then the best thing you need to do is to also go into self and personal development. It will go a long way to help you in your journey to success.
Powerful. Thank you so much. So before I let you go once again, tell us about your business. What do you do aside from being a teen mentor?
Right. Outside from being a teen mentor, I run a business, a food company called Glitters Food and Confections. We're into the production of, yummy, crunchy, and irresistible snacks. We make
I like that part. Irresistible.
yeah, we make coated peanuts, milky chin, sweet potato chips, plantain chips in different variables, and we package them. We sell to people that resell in bulk. They buy, they repackage, and they also sell. And we also sell to consumers and supermarkets, shops, and the rest. So, but we make sure we give you quality, perfect, and healthy snacks that is good for you. Putting your health into consideration, because I'm actually a health personnel and I'm very much interested in what people put into their system. So we give you the best.
Premium. And that's on a period. Okay, how can we reach you? What are your social media handles and all?
Okay, all right. I'm on Instagram as snack with glitters. You can also find my Facebook page as snack with glitters, and my personal account is Inheche Roberts.
Thank you so much, Inhechi, for spending this time with us here on P&T Show. We had a great time. Thank
It's
you.
an honor to be here.
Teenagers, I hope you enjoyed this session. I hope you learned something. I hope you're going to make better financial choice after watching this video. Go ahead and follow her on Facebook and on Instagram. Drop her, some love. Share my love with her on her handle, and then drop your question if you have any. Thank you for staying with us till the end of this show. Remember, this is that show where we celebrate parenting and we inspire teenagers. We'll come your way again next week, Friday. But until then, bye.